Right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. The first thing that we're going to talk about is some updates in the Cryptopia hack and how there needs to be a little bit more transparency. And I'm going to show you basically everything we know so far that has been stolen from Cryptopia. It is pretty significant. And before I get into that, I want to say that somebody sent me this on Twitter, and it basically states that Cryptopia was not the first exchange hacked in the year of 2019. So Gareth sent me this. He says, yeah, I think that confirms the first exchange to be hacked in 2019 was in fact SafeTrade and not Cryptopia. Hashtag pointless fact, but either way. So you can see here from SafeCoin, important announcement. As many of you know, SafeTrade exchange was compromised on January 10th and users' assets were stolen. An investigation has been ongoing, yada, yada. And so they actually are going to reopen it. During this time, we have taken the time to update our user interface, which has a new dark mode. Oh, great! I'm glad you guys put a new great dark mode in there while you were hacked. So I'm glad you guys were doing that. Your patience and cooperation is appreciated. Our entire team is working very hard these next 12 hours to ensure the best possible open, which is planned as follows. All order books will be cleared and funds will be fully available, and accounts, deposits, withdrawals will be fully functional, and trading will be fully enabled. Yeah, I'm really going to go to SafeTrade after you're not so safe. Might want to change your name after that one. Definitely not safe anymore. But is that a big exchange? Probably not really. So I'm still going to say that Cryptopia was the first reasonably large exchange to be hacked in 2019. But thank you, Gareth, for that either way. And before we get into the Cryptopia, I just want to thank 2 more Patreon subscribers. I really appreciate your guys' donations. We have Dario Dunkel with $1 patron donation. Also, SillyStalk from yesterday's donation increased his donation to $2, and that's no joke. That's like crypto gains. That's 100% increase, so thank you very much for that. And also, we have a $5 donation from Michael Nonya. I like the Nonya business for the last name. And your guys' names are going to be in the description of every video moving forward. If you donate on Patreon, you can get your name down there as well, and I appreciate you guys. But let's get right into it. So in the 5 days since Cryptopia hack was first reported, we've seen surprisingly very little information about what actually happened, and nobody seems to know how the theft took place, how, when, and where the funds were taken, how much was lost, and the current status of the stolen funds. This hack impacts thousands of people who have funds on Cryptopia's custody, and while Cryptopia may have their reasons for remaining quiet, we think it's important for the facts to be known, and they're quiet because it is currently a police investigation, which makes sense. Ironically, definitive answers to all the questions above are hiding in plain sight, encoded in a public database called the Ethereum blockchain, which is unfortunately not well designed for human consumption. However, our technology is designed to enable just that. Based on the data sourced via the Elementus query engine, here's how the Cryptopia hack actually went down. This is caused quite different from other high-profile attacks we've seen in the past, but before explaining what makes this case so unusual, here's a brief overview of what's happened. On January 13th, funds began moving out of Cryptopia's 2 core hot wallets, one holding Ether and the other one holding tokens. And on a little later that day, with one of the core wallets empty, residual quantities of funds began leaving Cryptopia's 76K secondary wallets, a process that would continue for several days. And on Monday, the 14th, Cryptopia suspends trading, announcing they are undergoing unscheduled maintenance. And on Tuesday, the 15th, Cryptopia discloses a security breach and New Zealand law enforcement steps in, which I find this really weird on the 13th, that out of their 76,000 plus secondary wallets, more funds would be leaving Cryptopia. So over the next couple of days. So even though they had their maintenance, coins were still, tokens and such were still leaving their wallets, which is really weird. So on Tuesday the 15th, Cryptopia discloses the security breach. And New Zealand law enforcement steps in. Thursday, January 17th, the last of Cryptopia's funds are drained. So this was the draining of their wallets were going on after they disclosed that they were going in maintenance and it's a security breach. Very weird. So by our calculations, the total of the stolen crypto at current market prices comes out to be about $16 million. This number includes only what's on the Ethereum blockchain, Ether and ERC20 tokens. So we've not examined the Bitcoin blockchain or other blockchains to see if funds were stolen there as well. So all we know so far is that a lot of Ethereum and a lot of ERC20 tokens. So coincidentally, conveniently, the thieves could just put it all in one Ether wallet. Love that convenience. So... Excuse me, the breakdown of losses by crypto asset is shown below. Ethereum at about 3.5 million. We got Dentacoin, Oyster, Lisk, Centrality, Mothership, Ormeus, Daps, Zap, Pillar, and other tokens accumulated to about $16 million. So where are the funds now? For the last few days, the hackers have been shuffling the funds around in small pieces and gradually moving them into exchanges to cash out. The table shows how much has been sent to each exchange. So some was sent to Bibox, Binance, Huobi, HitBTC, Coin Exchange, Digifinix, Bittrex, Changelly, KuCoin, ABCC, Mercatox, LA Token, Bitmart, and Gate. So basically all of them, except for the deposits at Gate, for some reason resulted in zero. Why they would send them out to these exchanges, I'm not really sure. Of the 16 million that was stolen, I would imagine, backing up for a second, I would imagine that it'd be, if you were a thief and you were going to send these to an exchange, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to send it to one exchange. If you sent all of your 13 million to Binance, it would get frozen. Then all of your efforts were useless, essentially. So why not send them to multiple exchanges, and then maybe only a few of them will ban you and freeze your account, and then the rest of them you might be able to cash out and get away with it. I would still just probably swap this all for Monero, and then maybe back, and then back to Monero or something like that. Super wash it with Monero, but apparently thieves don't think of that. I got nothing. So... The theft is quite different from most high-profile heists on the blockchain. Normally, they follow one of two profiles: a smart contract exploitation or an unauthorized access credentials. The Cryptopia hack differs from these profiles in two glaring ways. The hack involved a large number of wallets. The funds were taken from more than 76,000 different wallets, none of which were smart contracts. The thieves must have gained access to not one private key, but thousands of them. So Cryptopia, did you just happen to have all of your private keys in just like a notepad on a computer or something? How did this even... I don't understand how this happens with exchanges. Like, are you not concerned with privacy? Where are your private keys? How are they getting access to the private keys? Why are the private keys even able to be hacked? Why aren't the private keys in cold storage the whole time? Why aren't private keys held between multiple people? Why doesn't it take like 2FA for people to even access this cold storage? Who knows? That's a big problem with exchanges. I mean, MyStack got hacked for over 4,200 BTC when BTC was at its high, which was like $63 million of total in fiat. So really weird. The hack of urgency on the part of the thieves isn't striking. It is striking. Rather than withdrawing the funds as fast as possible, as the case in most crypto hacks, they took their time extracting the assets over the course of nearly 5 days. Cryptopia just failed to stop this over 5 days. So after Cryptopia discovered the hack, they watched the funds continue to flow out of their wallets for more than 4 days, seemingly powerless to stop it. You couldn't just like unplug or something? What is this? As these wallets were not smart contracts, there should have been no technical complications preventing Cryptopia from securing the funds. Exactly. It's called unplugging. That's it. The only plausible explanation for Cryptopia's inaction is that they no longer had access to their own wallets. Makes sense. It seems Cryptopia not only lost their funds, but they lost access to all or nearly all of their 76,000 Ethereum wallets. One possible explanation is that Cryptopia had their private keys stored on a single server with no redundancy, as I just said. If the thieves managed to gain access to the server, they could have downloaded the private keys before wiping them from the server, leaving Cryptopia unable to access their own wallets. So we count about 2,000 remaining Cryptopia wallets holding a combined balance of 380 Ethereum. Most of these funds were deposited by crypto users after the initial hack took place because for some reason Cryptopia just didn't take down their website. It hurts my brain. It really hurts my brain. So apparently people were still putting Ethereum on the exchange, apparently unaware of the security breach. Assume the thieves have access to these wallets and Cryptopia does not recovering the funds is a lost cause. However, if Cryptopia knows the identities of these users, hopefully they have the foresight to contact them and let them know not to send any more funds. So again, over the course of 5 days, they were just letting these wallets be emptied. They must have had all of their private keys, on one server, on one folder. Exactly, like a notepad just sitting on a computer with all of your 76,000 keys. The security of exchanges these days is absolutely atrocious. There's no reason for this. I would hope that borderline that somebody needs to be arrested for this, for absolute gross negligence of millions upon millions of dollars of funds. Cryptopia, I hope you guys get put in handcuffs. I really do. There is absolutely no reason for the gross negligence of losing people a $16 million of people's money, not your money, our money. I had no money on Cryptopia, thank God, because every time I get on Cryptopia, I think to myself, this exchange is going to get hacked someday. And sure enough, it did. So thank you, Gareth, for that little information there on my Twitter. Coinstar KYC hurdles are hurting the Bitcoin user experience. So the Bitcoin operator, which began offering purchases in 2014, teamed up with Coinstar last week to let customers purchase Bitcoin. Great. So we've been talking about this for a couple episodes, that Coinstar now sells Bitcoin, which is really awesome. So as users began surfacing on social media, however, not all appeared to be going to plan. Specifically, reviews slated that overreaching security measures CoinMe and Coinstar had implemented to buy Bitcoin. One commenter wrote on Twitter, it was necessary to provide an email address, a phone number, a name ID, verification, and a selfie photograph. Lame, but not unexpected. Seems silly for such a small amount. Who wrote for about their $25 purchase. So the current U.S. regulatory landscape surrounding crypto ownership focuses on blocking covert profiteering from cryptocurrency trading, with major companies such as Coinbase previously facing data inspection demands from authorities. And then they did talk about the fees in this as well. So all in all, a $25 Bitcoin purchase cost around 4% in obligatory fees, as well as an extra markup on the price of Bitcoin itself, and larger than average transaction fees to actually receive it to your wallet. So, if you put in $20, then minus 4% for fees right off the bat at the machine, and then, larger than average transaction fees to actually get it to you, which makes a lot of sense because BitPay is kind of like that. You have to pay a lot for their transaction fees. So moving on, Cambridge University researchers discover a promising way to track stolen Bitcoin. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So basically, they've created this magic algorithm in order to track cryptocurrencies, even though the NSA is probably way better at this. Listen to this nonsense. The algorithm is inspired by an old UK finance law that determines how banks should distribute their money they have left when they collapse. It uses a simple point of logic to spot patterns. If a certain amount of Bitcoin enters a thief's wallet from the victim's address, the destination address in any payout of the same amount, regardless of the number of transactions involved, is considered associated with the thief. So by their logic, anybody that receives this Bitcoin, so you could essentially, just send stolen Bitcoin to a whole bunch of people, a very small amount to a whole bunch of people, is associated with the thief. So you could just find a whole bunch of public keys and send a whole bunch of it, and then the authorities, by their logic, would be going after every single person who received 0.001 Satoshi, essentially, from these people, because they're now associated with the thief. So that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That makes no sense. And then it's the destination address and any payout of the same amount, regardless of the number of transactions. So that sentence right there doesn't make any sense either. So if $2,000 of Bitcoin is stolen, and the destination address receives 2,000, then it's from the thief. Well, that makes sense. But regardless of the number of transactions involved, so what if it wasn't the same amount? What if it was only $1,800? Then it's not the thief, right? Because it's of the same amount. You guys need, okay, MIT Technology Review, you guys need to step down, and you guys need to play Mario Kart or something, because I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about here. Go play the lottery. I guarantee you'll win. Go ahead and play the lottery. Why don't you take a candle and hold your hand above it or something, MIT? This makes no sense. Moving on. How U.S. government shutdown affects the Bitcoin ETF approval. So, a lawyer who focuses on litigation involving securities, commodities, futures, and other derivatives explained a series of tweets on Friday how the current U.S. government shutdown could affect the upcoming decision of the VanEck Solidix Bitcoin Exchange Traded Fund. So there's going to be a VanEck ETF, Bitcoin ETF here soon. The commission has designed a date by which it shall either approve or disapprove the proposed rule change filed by CBOE BZX Exchange to list and trade shares of VanEck Bitcoin Trust. The final deadline to approve or deny the ETF is February 27th. That's 240 days after the ETF approval that was first published in the Federal Register. So the SEC doesn't have the power to extend the 240-day deadline. The statute absolutely prohibits any further delays. By law, that means if the SEC fails to make a decision by February 27th deadline, the ETF will be automatically approved. However, if it's automatically approved, that's fine, but later when the SEC actually reopens, because it's not entirely closed, but pretty much because of the government shutdown, there is a few limited number of staff. Even if it's automatically approved, it can actually be removed and the exchange could be forced to be delisted if they actually didn't approve it. So it will get automatically approved after 240 days, but on the 245th day they could be like, okay, wait, we didn't want to approve this, we wanted to decline this, and they can actually delist it. So anybody looking forward to the VanEck SolidX Bitcoin Trust, why don't you stay away from that one for a little while, because if that gets automatically approved and you're like, yeah, Bitcoin futures, all right, even though they completely destroyed the price of crypto on December 17th, 2017, it could actually get delisted, and you could kind of get screwed over because of that. So why don't you guys stay away from that one? Little warning to you. Zimbabwe. So this doesn't have too much to do with crypto, but it is a very interesting story. It has a little bit to do with it. Zimbabwe government shuts down the internet, and it backfires on them spectacularly and affected their economy. So basically, there was a widespread local unrest in the past week, and it was because of a controversial decision to increase the prices of petrol and diesel by a massive 150%. So citizens of Zimbabwe have since this voiced their dissatisfaction with the decision through a series of protests and demonstrations. Social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp have been integral in organizing the events, which I agree. So it's not the first time that social media played a role in organizing protests. So the Arab Spring and yada yada. Basically, anymore today, we don't even need to read an article on it. We know that protests are basically created through Facebook, social media. Hey, I'm down here at the protest. Whoa, I didn't know there was going on. Let me get my coat and I'm gonna come down, kind of thing, and spreading it out through other people. I'm gonna tweet it out too. I'm gonna share it on Facebook as well. So obvious. So what they did was they shut down the internet. As such, it would appear the government-led shutdown of the internet has led immensely worse consequences. The national economy has effectively been disabled. However, this was not caused by the protesters. Rather, it was the work of the government's actions. The internet shutdown has affected shops, businesses nationwide, has rendered traditional banks transfers impossible. Furthermore, the inability to access the internet has made all Bitcoin-related transactions unfeasible. The economic effects of the government's actions seem to have dramatically misjudged as business operations have largely collapsed on the African nation. Not only have cryptocurrency transfers and traditional bank transfers been compromised, so have electronic transactions. In addition to this, a pre-existing liquidity crisis in the country has already led citizens towards alternative means of exchange, such as cryptos and other cashless alternatives, such as bank cards. And all of these payment systems have now been rendered moot due to the government's action. So without the internet, you can't even swipe your debit card. It remains to be seen how all of this will ultimately play out. So now, I think the idea of this doesn't affect most people, as I don't think I have too many Zimbabwean viewers. But if you are from Zimbabwe, how are you doing? Good to meet you. But I think the idea is a pretty broad look. So without the internet, cryptocurrency doesn't really work so good. Now, we could use like ledgers and things like that to move over, but again, the blockchain isn't going to recognize that until everything is up and running. However, this is really unlikely to happen in major countries, and this has to happen all over the world at once for all nodes to shut down. Then again, the blockchain is still going to be there on the nodes and will fire right up as soon as they go. So this is why Bitcoin is amazing. You can't stop it. There's nodes nodes in every single country of the world, likely. That's a kind of a factless guess, but I'm assuming every country of the world probably has a Bitcoin node, at least one, and more likely thousands. And you just can't shut it down. So it doesn't matter if the internet goes down here, a meteor strikes this country and wipes out half the population. Very unfortunate. I don't want that to happen. But Bitcoin is still going to work. And this is exactly why Zimbabweans have said, you know what, screw this government, screw this cash, considering they used to have $50 trillion bills, and have started to buy crypto. And in fact, it was in Zimbabwe that cryptocurrency was way overpriced, and it was actually worth a lot more. When it was like $8,000, it was like $10,000 in Zimbabwe. When it was $20,000, it was even more in Zimbabwe. Because of the demand of it. The demand was so high. So don't let your government do that. And if they do, just make sure that you got that Bitcoin, you got that Bitcoin securely stored on a USB, a ledger, something like that. Keep your private keys and make sure nobody gets to those. That's the point, I guess. Moving on. It's okay, everybody. It's okay. Moving on. $119 billion market cap. Let's go ahead and do a refresh and see where we're at. I always love to do that. It's still 119, so no change there. But down to 35.74. As you can see, everything in the red still today. And we're waiting for those whale pumps. Once again, it'll be a day or two, and we'll see those whale pumps right back up to 4,000, where you can sell your Bitcoin immediately, and then it'll jump down to 3,500, where you can instantly buy your Bitcoin and make a few bucks doing that. Oh god, that was a nasty cough, right? Because you could follow those whale purchases and buy and then sell like on the whale purchases and make easy money. Ooh, nasty cough. I got to get that taken care of. But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. That helps out a lot. Social media in the description below, my Twitter, my Twitch, my everything, Steam, everything down in there. And I thank my new Patreon subscribers, donators. I don't have too much going on my Patreon right now. It is an old Patreon that I made quite a while ago, and nobody really has since donated to it, but I'm really pumped that a few people did donate to it now. All it takes is $1. It's sort of like a recurring monthly payment, when you donate to Patreon. So even just like $1, like you won't even notice that missing out of your bank account. But if enough of my viewers do that, I'll be able to make enough, be able to upgrade my equipment, maybe get a better camera and a better mic, so it's not just going boom, 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 and exploding on you guys whenever I hit my desk. You heard that exactly. Where I can get some dampeners and maybe a better mic and stuff like that. We just really soup this all up. Maybe get a little cool Bitcoin like glowy neon symbol in the back. People like that, right? Little Bitcoin neon things. I don't know, but I appreciate you guys very much. And if you do donate, I will put your name in the description of every video, and so you could be proudly displayed, and you can hold your little badge. You don't get a badge, but you can make your own badge. But that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.